In a villa in the Greek city of Santorini, surrounded by white walls and deep blue ceilings, 52-year-old Anna Meyer was enjoying a vacation. She was trying to recover from a grueling divorce that had left her emotionally exhausted. Anna was a successful interior designer, renowned for her refined style and ability to create welcoming spaces for her clients. However, behind her professional achievements, there was a woman tired of failures in her personal life. Santorini had become her refuge, a place where she could disconnect and immerse herself in the beauty of nature and silence. One afternoon, on one of her first days on the island, Anna went for a walk along the coast. The setting sun reflected on the water, creating an image that could have served as inspiration for one of her designs. On the edge of a cliff, among the few tourists present, she noticed a man who seemed to be in his early 40s. He held a camera in his hands, and his movements denoted professional concentration. That man was Lucas Walter, a 45-year-old wildlife photographer who traveled the world in search of unique shots. He had come to Santorini as part of his new project, which involved studying rare species of seabirds. His presence there made sense. The professional equipment and the security in his work revealed someone passionate about what he did. Later, it was learned that that moment was crucial in their meeting. Anna, intrigued by his professionalism and naturalness, stayed close. Lucas, noticing her presence, showed a friendly attitude and began to chat with her. He told her about his work, his travels, and how places like that inspired him deeply. Anna, true to her custom of being reserved, did not show much interest at first. However, the meeting left an impression on her. That same night she posted a photo of the sunset on her Facebook page, accompanied by a simple phrase, "A new day, a new hope." That image, seemingly innocent, would soon become a key element in her destiny. Days later, their paths crossed again, and conversations about travel, the beauty of nature, and life continued. For Anna, that period marked the beginning of a change she had apparently been looking for a long time. Their relationship progressed rapidly, as if driven by the wind blowing over the Aegean Sea. Only a few days had passed since Anna Meyer and Lucas Walter met, but their connection grew ever closer. Lucas proved to be a master of unexpected surprises. He invited Anna to walk along secluded beaches in Santorini, while telling her stories of his expeditions in Africa and South America. These tales, full of vibrant details and dramatic moments, captivated Anna, helping her distract herself from the emotional weight of her recent divorce. Every day, Lucas found new ways to surprise her. He organized an impromptu sunset photo shoot with Anna as the protagonist, calling her his natural muse. Later, he prepared a dinner on a hidden terrace, where, under the sound of the waves, they enjoyed fresh dishes of Greek cuisine. From her perspective, these gestures seemed like a genuine desire to bring joy to her life, although later they would take on a different meaning. During the days they shared on the island, Lucas became someone more than just a companion to Anna. His confidence and ease of relating captivated her, making her believe that it was possible to begin a new stage in her life. Anna felt that she was regaining the ability to trust, something that, until recently, seemed impossible to her. The morning that Lucas proposed to her was remembered for its beauty and drama. They welcomed the sunrise on a terrace overlooking the endless waters of the Aegean Sea. Lucas, visibly nervous, took out a small velvet case. Kneeling down, he confessed that he could not imagine his life without her. His voice conveyed confidence, and his gestures were genuine. For Anna, a woman who had felt broken for so long, that proposal was a confirmation that she was worthy of love. Surprised but excited, Anna accepted the proposal, convinced that she had finally found someone with whom she could build a new life. However, at that very moment, Lucas made a disturbing comment. He asked her to keep their relationship private. His argument seemed reasonable: happiness loves silence. He insisted that she not share photos of them together on social media to avoid attracting unnecessary attention. Although Lucas's request seemed unusual to her, Anna didn't give it too much importance. On the contrary, she liked the idea of preserving their happiness away from the eyes of others. They decided to get married in a few months, in an intimate ceremony with their loved ones, taking a new step in their relationship. Anna began to plan their future together, feeling that her life was changing for the better. However, a concern began to arise in her mind. Lucas was too perfect, as if he had no flaws. That feeling would soon become key to discovering his true nature. But, at that time, Anna still did not suspect the dark facets hidden behind his charming smile. A few weeks after the proposal, Lucas and Anna returned from Santorini to their home in Athens. They decided to spend an evening in the company of Anna's family to officially introduce Lucas as her future husband. Anna hosted a dinner on the spacious terrace of her house, overlooking the ancient Acropolis, adding her signature designer touch to the table setting. Everything seemed perfect, but the evening promised not to be as peaceful as she had hoped. Among the guests was her brother, Mark Meir, a former investigator with over 20 years of experience in the police force. 2 years older than Anna, he had always been protective of her. Although he was happy about his sister's apparent happiness, his professional instinct, accustomed to detecting suspicious details, kept him on his toes from the start. The dinner began with light conversation. Lucas, as always, was charming and attentive. He told stories of his travels, of the beauty of wild nature, and of how places like Santorini inspired him. However, when the conversation turned to his past, Lucas became evasive. He avoided details, mentioning that much of his life had been in constant motion, with no fixed residence or lasting ties. Mark, listening intently, didn't let a single detail slip through his fingers. He found it unsettling that Lucas dodged questions about his family and past relationships. Despite his charisma, Mark began to suspect that something wasn't right. After dinner, while the others were enjoying dessert, Mark approached Anna privately and advised her to be careful. Anna felt uncomfortable about the comment. She thought Mark was exaggerating, seeing danger where there was none. She dismissed his warnings, attributing them to her brother's professional deformation. However, a slight uneasiness began to rise inside her, although she tried to ignore it.
Meanwhile, Lucas began to pay more attention to Anna's activities on social media. He insistently asked her to delete some posts, arguing that they attracted too much attention. His insistence intensified after Anna shared a photo of the family dinner with a caption that read, "So happy to share this special moment." The post received many likes and comments, but it aroused Lucas' obvious displeasure. One night, upon discovering another post from Anna, Lucas became openly upset. He demanded that she remove the photo immediately, explaining that prying eyes could damage her happiness. His anger surprised Anna. She tried to reason with him, explaining that she just wanted to express her joy. But Lucas seemed so upset that she decided to give in to avoid a bigger conflict. After that incident, their relationship gradually began to change. Lucas avoided questions about his past more often and his behavior became more reserved and irritable. Although Anna tried to ignore the worrying signs, she increasingly wondered if her brother might be right. The image of perfection that Lucas had projected was beginning to crack, revealing what seemed to be a fragile mask behind which something deeper was hidden. The morning began quietly. Anna woke up in her bright room on the second floor of her villa in Athens. Although she still felt somewhat uneasy about the conversation with her brother the night before, she decided to focus on the positive. Her confidence in her choice and desire to protect her relationship with Lucas prompted her to ignore her troubling thoughts. Meanwhile, Lucas sat on the terrace with a cup of coffee, looking out at the bustling city. His face reflected concentration and his gaze seemed distant. He didn't notice Anna's presence until she called out to him. She smiled as she approached, but he greeted her with a cold expression that left her slightly taken aback. Anna decided that she would start the day by posting something on her social media. She took out her phone and chose a photograph from the night before, where she and Lucas appeared surrounded by their family. She wrote a short but emotional caption, "My life is changing for the better. Thank you, Lucas." The post began receiving likes and comments within minutes. Family and friends expressed their happiness for her. Anna, smiling, put her phone aside and went to Lucas to talk about the day's plans. However, she didn't get the chance to do so. Lucas had already seen the post. When she entered the room, the tension was palpable. His face reflected anger. Although he tried to keep his tone of voice calm, she asked him why he had made that post without consulting her. Anna tried to explain that she simply wanted to share her happiness. But Lucas' reaction became more and more intense. Lucas accused her of endangering his privacy by attracting unnecessary attention. Anna, surprised by his fury, replied that she did not understand why his joy should be kept a secret. The argument quickly escalated. Lucas raised his voice and his gestures became more abrupt. In a fit of anger, he tried to take the phone from her hands to delete the post immediately. Anna stepped back, but Lucas grabbed her arm. She screamed, demanding that he stop. But he seemed to be dominated by his emotions. In the confusion, he pushed her away, trying to calm her down and force her to speak. Anna lost her balance and crashed into the balcony railing. For a brief moment, she struggled to keep her balance. But her body finally fell into the void. The noise caught the attention of passers-by, who, upon hearing the impact, ran to the scene. Anna lay motionless on the stone path. One of those present immediately called an ambulance. But when the paramedics arrived, they could only confirm her death. Lucas remained on the balcony, motionless, with an expression of horror and bewilderment on his face. Lucas was visibly shocked by what had happened. That moment marked a point of no return, kicking off a long investigation that would reveal the truth about this man. The tragic incident that occurred that morning at Anna Mears' villa immediately attracted the attention of the police. Detectives led by Emily Carter and Alex Norton, experienced professionals with years of work on complex cases, arrived at the scene. Their task was to determine what had really happened: an accident, a domestic dispute, or something more sinister. Lucas Walter was found on the balcony where the incident occurred. He seemed dazed, and his behavior showed confusion. When asked what had happened, Lucas claimed that it was all an accident. He explained that they were arguing about a social media post and that Anna, losing her balance, fell over the railing. However, Lucas's explanations seemed suspiciously simplistic to the detectives. Although his emotional state seemed genuine, it oscillated between confusion and aggression, which caught the attention of Detective Carter, who noted it as an important detail. The team began a thorough examination of the scene. They found no damage to the balcony railing that would suggest it was unsafe, and Anna's shoes were a safe distance from the edge. These details made the version of the accident lose credibility. In addition, Anna's social media attracted the attention of investigators. Her last post, made a few hours before her death, was receiving numerous comments. The description under the photo read, "My life is changing for the better. Thank you, Lucas." Although it seemed like a message of joy, detectives considered it a key clue to understand the context. Detective Alex Norton decided to speak to Anna's relatives, who had attended the dinner the night before. Her brother Mark, a former investigator, shared his suspicions. He commented that from the beginning he had noticed that Lucas's behavior was worrying. According to Mark, Lucas avoided talking about his past and was excessively insistent on keeping their relationship private. These comments provided a starting point for further investigation. During Lucas's questioning, detectives observed contradictory answers. He insisted that his relationship with Anna was perfect, but avoided mentioning the conflict related to the social media post. His explanations seemed carefully prepared, which increased doubts about his version of events. To verify or refute Lucas's statements, investigators requested recordings from security cameras around the villa. In addition, they began to investigate Lucas's identity. In initial checks, his documents seemed authentic, but there were no records about his previous life in the available databases. This detail was the first sign that Lucas might be hiding his true identity. At the same time, experts carefully analyzed the physical evidence at the scene of the incident. Although there were no obvious signs of a fight, the position of Anna's body after the fall did not match Lucas's version. This reinforced the need to delve deeper into the case. Anna's family, especially her brother Mark, insisted that the case not be dismissed as a simple accident. For Mark, proving that his sister's death had not been accidental became a personal mission. The start of the investigation revealed that what happened was only the tip of the iceberg. Behind the tragedy were carefully buried secrets about Lucas that detectives were determined to unravel. The investigation, which began with the contradictory testimonies of Lucas Walter, advanced quickly. Detectives Emily Carter and Alex Norton, after analyzing the circumstances of the tragedy, concluded that the possibility of an accident was unlikely. Attention turned to the identity of Lucas, whose refusal to talk about his past and the lack of verifiable information about him in databases raised well-founded suspicions. The first significant breakthrough came when detectives examined his documents further. Checking his passport, they discovered that it had been recently issued. Although the photograph matched Lucas, records of his supposed travels did not appear at border controls. This discrepancy was the first sign that his identity might be fake. Emily and Alex contacted international police to search their databases for matches. Days later, the answer came. Lucas Walter's name did not appear in any records, but his photograph matched that of an individual involved in a fraud case in Spain. Lucas's real name was Sebastian Vega. He turned out to be an international fraudster wanted for a series of crimes across Europe. His modus operandi was meticulous. He gained the trust of wealthy women by presenting himself as a photographer or artist and integrated himself into their lives as a caring companion. Once he gained access to their finances, he would disappear, leaving his victims in financial ruin. The Anna Mir case, though tragic, put an end to Sebastián Vega's trail of deceit. Now, detectives faced the challenge of gathering enough evidence to prosecute him and bring justice to Anna and other possible victims. Details about Sebastián Vega revealed previously unknown aspects of the case. In 2018, he deceived a woman in Milan, appropriating her funds using forged documents. A year later, he repeated the scheme in Germany before disappearing for several years, leaving few traces behind. A key piece to Sebastian's revelation was Anna's last social media post. It went viral on the internet, attracting the attention of one of his previous victims, Sofia Leventi, a resident of Barcelona. Upon seeing Lucas' photo, Sofia immediately contacted the police, identifying him as the man who stole a large sum of money from her before disappearing. Sofia provided detectives Carter and Norton with all the evidence she had kept, including electronic conversations and recordings. These materials became crucial evidence to prove Sebastian's fraudulent activities. In addition, during a search of Anna's villa, investigators found documents that Lucas apparently kept as backup. Among them were forged passports with different names and large sums of money in euros and dollars. As detectives gathered evidence, Lucas continued to insist that Anna's death was an accident. However, his defense began to crumble in the face of the avalanche of evidence against him. Anna's financial records, obtained during the investigation, revealed that she had recently transferred significant sums of money to Lucas under the promise of starting a joint business. The uncovered truth completely destroyed Lucas' image as a caring partner. He was exposed as a cold and calculating con man. For detectives, the case took on a new dimension. It was no longer just about Anna's death, but also about dismantling a series of meticulously planned crimes. Lucas' dark past was exposed. The carefully constructed mask of a perfect man was broken, revealing a dangerous manipulator willing to do anything for his own interests. The trial against Sebastián Vega, formerly known as Lucas Walter, became an event that attracted enormous public attention. After being exposed as a fraudster and held indirectly responsible for Anna Mir's death, the case took on an international dimension. The courtroom was filled with journalists, women affected by his crimes, and Anna's family, determined to obtain justice for their sister and daughter. The prosecution, led by the experienced Maria Evans, presented a strong case backed by numerous pieces of evidence. The main charge was involuntary manslaughter, arguing that Anna's death was the result of a conflict that Sebastian could not control. In addition, the prosecution included in the case detailed evidence of his fraudulent activities, such as financial transfers, falsified documents, and testimonies from other victims. Sofia Leventi, a Barcelona resident and one of Sebastian's victims, was a key witness for the prosecution. Her testimony revealed a pattern alarmingly similar to Anna's case. Sofia recounted how Sebastian entered her life by posing as a photographer, gaining her trust with attentive gestures until he finally disappeared with her savings. His statement, backed by compelling evidence, made it clear that his actions were not isolated or spontaneous, but part of a well-planned scheme. A crucial point in the trial was Anna's last Facebook post. This post, full of hope and gratitude toward Sebastian, became a centerpiece of the case. The prosecution argued that Sebastian's desire to keep his double life a secret was what triggered the conflict that culminated in the tragedy. For its part, Sebastian's defense tried to downplay the accusations. His lawyer argued that Anna's death was an unfortunate accident and that the fraud allegations had no direct relation to the case. However, these arguments proved insufficient in the face of the weight of evidence presented by the prosecution. Anna's family, especially her brother Mark Mir, played an important role in the trial. During his testimony, Mark spoke emotionally about his relationship with Anna, about how she had trusted Sebastian and how he had betrayed that trust. His testimony underlined the manipulative nature of the defendant and reinforced the prosecution's narrative. After a week of deliberations, the court found Sebastián Vega guilty of involuntary manslaughter and a series of fraud and swindle-related crimes spanning a decade. He was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. Public reaction to the verdict was mixed. While many mourned Anna's tragic death, others applauded the work of the detectives and the prosecution, whose work allowed a meticulous criminal to be brought to justice. Anna's family, though devastated by their loss, expressed gratitude toward those who helped close the case. The trial was a clear example of how a thorough investigation and a committed justice system can bring the truth to light, even in the most complex cases. Anna Mir's story became a reminder of the dangers of trusting people who hide their true identity and a lesson in the importance of protecting oneself against manipulation. After the conclusion of the trial, the lives of Anna Mir's family changed forever. The loss of a sister, daughter, and friend left an irreplaceable void. But she also became a symbol of struggle and justice. And a daughter left a deep wound in the hearts of her loved ones, a wound that could never fully heal. However, Her family decided that their pain would not be in vain. They pledged to make Anna's story serve as a lesson for others and help prevent similar tragedies in the future. Mark Meir, Anna's brother and a former investigator, played a key role in this effort. He used his professional skills to collaborate with international organizations dedicated to combating fraud. Together they launched a campaign aimed at raising awareness about the manipulations and deceptions that women can face in relationships. The first step was the creation of a community platform where victims could share their stories and receive support. The platform, called Anna's Voice, was created in her memory. Its purpose was not only to expose scammers, but also to educate women to identify warning signs such as manipulation, isolation, and attempts at control. Anna's story attracted the attention of journalists and content creators. Her tragic death became the subject of a documentary that was presented at several international festivals. The film recounted her life, her successful career as an interior designer, her passion for creativity, and the fateful meeting with Sebastián Vega that ended in tragedy. This project helped more people understand the dangers of trusting those who hide their true identity. In addition, Anna's family worked together with psychologists to develop programs aimed at women who had suffered emotional and financial abuse. These much-needed initiatives offered a safe space for victims to tell their stories and learn to rebuild their lives. At the same time, the name of Sebastián Vega, formerly known as Lucas Walter, became famous due to the revelation of his crimes. His photograph and descriptions of his methods were included in international police databases to prevent future deceptions. This case also prompted several countries to strengthen laws against fraud in personal relationships. For the Meir family, keeping Anna's memory alive also meant preserving her legacy as a creator. Her design projects, which she had completed during her career, were displayed in an exhibition in her honor. The exhibition attracted many people and highlighted her talent and dedication to beauty. Although Anna's family continued to live with the pain of her loss, they found solace in the positive impact of her story. They firmly believed that, through her work and efforts to fight crime, they were helping to make the world a little safer. Anna Meir's story was not only a tragedy, but also a lesson. It reminded everyone of the importance of paying attention to suspicious behavior from people we trust and not ignoring our doubts. Her family and society did everything possible to ensure that her death would not be in vain, transforming her life into a symbol of the fight for truth, justice and awareness.